Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris. Don't mind the fan. You won't hear it. I just finished the part 3 Battle of Shiloh. Lick 'em tomorrow. It's really good. And this is a request from Murat Leblebisi. Let's just pretend I got the name right, and we'll find out. Well, I'll find out if I got it wrong. Requested First Crusade Part 1 and 2. So, we're going to go ahead and jump into that right now.
In the Middle Ages, Europe and the Middle East were divided between Christian states, or Christendom, and Muslim states. They were uneasy neighbours and frequently at war.
They always were.
On the front line, the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire, the major Christian power in the Eastern Mediterranean.
Byzantine, is that how you say it? I always thought it was Byzantine. I guess it's just pronunciation, it's just, there's no right or wrong on that.
But in the 11th century, a powerful new force emerged that threatened its very survival. The Seljuk Turks, originally from Central Asia, migrated south, converted to Sunni Islam, and carved out a great empire for themselves.
Sunni Islam. Okay, I've Sunnis.
In 1071, at the Battle of Manzikert, the Seljuk Turks inflicted a crushing defeat on the Byzantine Empire.
When I was 19, I almost died. I mean, it's weird to say this out loud, but I suppose I wouldn't really have it any other way. I was admitted to Duke's Hospital in 2007. I was showing symptoms of internal bleeding and admitted myself.
My fiber optics are
They went on to conquer most of Anatolia. Cities such as Nicaea and Antioch, rich in Christian history, fell to the Seljuk Turks. In 1092, the great Seljuk Sultan Malik Shah died, and his empire began to fragment. The Byzantine Empire came under renewed attack as local warlords sought territory and plunder.
Constantinople. I could look it up, but what is that today? Is it still, I mean, I don't ever hear Constantinople today. So, Norman, Italy. So I'm just curious. Sorry.
In 1095, Byzantine Emperor Alexius I Comnenus wrote to Pope Urban II, making a desperate appeal for military aid from his fellow Christians in the West. It wasn't the first such appeal by the emperor, but this time the results would be unlike anything ever seen before. Pope Urban saw the emperor's appeal as a golden opportunity, a chance to heal the rift that had emerged between Western and Eastern churches in the Great Schism, to assert his own papal authority over the unruly barons and bishops of Western Christendom, and to drive back the infidel and reclaim Christianity's most holy sites, most of all Jerusalem, lost to Muslim rule 400 years before. At Clermont in France, Pope Urban preached a sermon to a gathering of clergy and nobles. He called on Christian knights and foot soldiers to go east, to aid their brother Christians and free Jerusalem from Muslim rule. And he offered a unique spiritual incentive. Whoever, for devotion alone, not to gain honor or money, goes to Jerusalem to liberate the Church of God can substitute this journey for all penance.
I am not, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not religious. I was born Lutheran. You know, parents took you to church. I never really cared. But the one thing that I've never, I think the one reason why I've just never gotten into church is because, or religion, is because of all of this fighting. You know, the different religions and just so many dead because, and I feel like I'm going to turn into George Carlin now. So many dead because, you know, you don't believe in my God. My God's better than your God. And it's just been like, And if you're religious, great. If it works for you, perfect. Just not my thing. Just never has. But that's a side note. I just had to put it out there.
He was offering Europe's knights, who lived in fear of damnation because of the violent lives they led, the chance to atone for their sins through holy war. What's more, their objective, Jerusalem, was a city that captivated the medieval imagination like no other. The most holy place on earth. The Pope's offer exhilarated his audience. His words were met with cries of Deus vult! Deus vult! God wills it! God wills it!
Deus vult. Okay.
The Pope's appeal was preached across Europe, sparking a wave of religious fervour. Thousands of lords, knights, and ordinary people vowed to travel to the Holy Land and fight for Christ. They identified themselves by wearing a cross, later becoming known as Cruce Signatus, Crusaders. A few of these men saw opportunity in the East for fame and fortune, but overwhelmingly they went in search of spiritual salvation, willing to undertake a long, expensive and perilous journey to save their souls from the fires of hell.
I'm going to guess a few of them also went to kill people who didn't agree with their religion. Just guessing.
Okay, it's time for the dogs to get their breakfast because they've been patient. We've been using Farmer's Dog and they absolutely love it, and it's so cute.
My internet is just not good right now.
Pope Urban had intended the crusade to be led by nobles and made up of knights and experienced soldiers. But the viral success of his appeal led thousands of ordinary townsfolk and peasants to take the cross. Many inspired by a French priest known as Peter the Hermit, who became leader of this so-called People's Crusade.
Peter the Hermit. Okay.
In the Rhineland, some of these crusaders, fired up by old prejudices and talk of holy war, attacked local Jewish communities.
My internet's bugging the shit out of me right now.
Slaughtering around 5,000 men, women and children, and extorting money from those they spared.
This is kind of why I have a problem with it. Like, going after the Jewish people. The Jewish people, it's Muslim and Christian. Like, they're not even involved. And I think that's what my issue with it is. And it's not like I'm perfect and I know it's just religion to me. And I'm not trying to bag on religion. If you're a religious person and it works for you, great. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Don't care. And if you get mad at what I'm saying and you feel like it's like an attack on you, then put it in the comment. I won't say anything because it would be offensive to you, and I get it. But it's just so negative to me. In the aspect of this, of, oh, you don't believe in in my God, so I have to kill you. And it's like, come on, really? Let's just move past that. I'm sorry, I'm going on little tantrums here, or whatever you want to call it. Tirades, tantrums, whatever.
These massacres were condemned by the church, but to little effect.
Oh, they were condemned. Okay.
In the summer of 1096, the People's Crusade, 20 to 40,000 strong, made its way east. The main contingent, led by Peter the Hermit, travelled along the river Danube. But they were ill-disciplined and poorly prepared.
Of course they were.
When they ran out of food in Hungary, they attacked and looted Christian settlements. They continued to pillage the land of their supposed ally, the Byzantine Empire. When they reached Constantinople, the emperor quickly ferried them to Anatolia to be rid of them. In enemy territory, lacking discipline or leadership, their main force was soon ambushed and slaughtered by the Turks.
And I bet you there wasn't a single Byzantine, whatever it was, group that was like, oh, we should go out and help them. And they were like, no. You saw what they did? No. And they didn't deserve it because of what they did. No one deserves to die, but you don't deserve...
Meanwhile, some of Europe's most powerful feudal lords were departing for the Holy Land, at the head of their own contingents. They were much better armed and organized than the disastrous People's Crusade. They included, from Lorraine, Godfrey of Bouillon, with his brothers Eustace and Baldwin of Boulogne; Hugh of Vermandois, younger brother of the French king;
Vermandois. Love that.
Count Robert of Flanders, and Duke Robert of Normandy, son of William the Conqueror; the wealthy Stephen of Blois. From Provence, Count Raymond of Toulouse, accompanied by the Crusade's spiritual leader, papal legate Adhemar of Le Puy. And from southern Italy, Norman lords Bohemond of Taranto and his nephew Tancred. The various contingents converged for their agreed rendezvous at Constantinople. Together they formed a huge army, perhaps 60,000 strong.
Wow.
Probably the largest seen in Europe since the fall of the Western Roman Empire. The Byzantine Emperor Alexius had expected to welcome a small force of Western mercenaries who'd serve under Byzantine command. But the giant Crusader force that began arriving in December 1096 made him nervous and distrustful, particularly the presence of Bohemond of Taranto, who'd spent much of his life attacking the Byzantine Empire. Alexius gave the Crusaders money, supplies, and guides, but only after their leaders swore oaths of fealty and promised to return all Byzantine territory to the Emperor, not keep it for themselves. Only then were they ferried across the Bosphorus into Anatolia.
I don't know if anyone's read The Art of War by Sun Tzu? Anyways, there's a part in there. Was it The Art of War? No, it was not. It was it Machiavelli? I don't remember. So anyways, it was one of them. And they talk about the one thing that generally fails is when you have a unit, a military, that you're paying, because they will do everything to just keep bilking money from you. And if you're not paying them, they will keep land as payment. And I don't know much about where this is going, but I have a feeling, kind of seeing it.
The Crusaders were a mighty military force, particularly the armoured knights, who made up about a sixth of their strength. But they'd have to adapt rapidly to the heat, terrain, and hit-and-run tactics of their Turkish enemy. In their favour, the Islamic world and the great Seljuk Empire itself was badly divided. Its Turkish governors, or atabegs, were busy fighting each other, as well as the Shia Fatimids of Egypt.
Why were they fighting
None
each
of
other?
them was prepared for the First Crusade, or had any real understanding of its strength or aims.
Were they fighting each other? I apologize for pausing so much. Were they fighting each other for dominance of this area, not thinking that this guy put in a call and he's got this whole army coming to just start kicking ass, and these guys are so busy fighting amongst themselves, they probably didn't even take these guys serious anymore. Am I right or am I wrong? I apologize for pausing so much. I'm drinking. My mind starts wanting to ask more questions. I get talkative. I'm a happy boy, okay? I'm sorry. What did I do?
Hey there, we're Murph Electric Bikes, and we make high-quality electric beach cruisers.
Damn it, I
Our
want
bikes
an
are
electric
comfortable,
bike.
fast, and utilize high-end components like
When you guys buy me an electric bike? No?
The Crusaders' first success came at Nicaea, which fell after a 6-week siege. But the city surrendered to the Byzantine forces, cheating the Crusaders, as they saw it, of their rightful plunder. It was a further strain on the delicate relations between Crusaders and Byzantines. They began marching inland through intense summer heat in 2 columns, a vanguard under Bohemond of Taranto and rear guard under Godfrey of Bouillon. Near Dorylaeum, Bohemond's vanguard was ambushed by the main Turkish army.
I apologize. It doesn't sound like the Islam fighters are united in all of this. But I haven't, outside the 60,000, I haven't heard numbers. So does anyone know roughly how many fought, or am I going to learn that so I shouldn't be asking this question? I asked the question. I'm going to do part 2, and if it gets I'm going to do part 2 immediately after this. If it gets mentioned, then I'm an asshole, and it's the booze. If it doesn't get mentioned, then you need to answer that for me. It's on you. It's your responsibility.
Based on Crusader chronicles, this is our best understanding of how the confused fighting unfolded.
Okay.
Bohemond, seeing he was about to be attacked by a large force of enemy cavalry, sent an urgent message to the rearguard, asking for assistance. Then he formed up his knights and ordered his infantry into a defensive formation behind them, protecting the camp followers.
What are camp followers?
The Crusaders came under attack from all sides, facing a hail of arrows from Turkish horse archers, as well as javelins and hit-and-run strikes from their faster light cavalry. The knights were driven back onto their own infantry. Over several hours, losses mounted, but the Crusader line held.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Godfrey was racing up with the rearguard to join the battle. Troops were fed into the fighting as soon as they arrived. On the Turks' left flank, the Crusader advance was hidden by the terrain, so that they appeared suddenly, threatening the Turks with encirclement. When the Christian knights all charged together, the Turks panicked, turned, and fled.
Wow.
It was a major victory for the Crusaders and allowed them to continue their advance across Anatolia without serious opposition.
Dude, props to them for holding the line. And I mean, that's those rear guard coming in to attack all at one time. That's pretty. I mean, and then to just it's impressive. It's amazingly impressive. Not insulting, not trying to insult any Islamists who are watching this and think, oh, well, what? No. It's just in that battle, that's impressive that they held. I'm sure that Islam will win battles. I'm not here to I'm not siding with any religion on the battle. I'm just looking at the battles.
They defeated a small Turkish force, then split up. The main force struggled through the mountains of Cappadocia, losing many of their baggage animals and running dangerously low on supplies. Meanwhile, Baldwin of Boulogne and Tancred, probably out to seize land and plunder for themselves,
Of course they were.
travelled south into Cilicia, capturing the city of Tarsus and other settlements.
Tarsus.
Tancred later rejoined the main army,
I love the name Tarsus.
but Baldwin was invited by local Armenian Christians to travel to Edessa, where he was soon installed as Count Baldwin of Edessa, ruler of the First Crusader state.
Of course.
In October 1097, the rest of the Crusaders reached Antioch, the next stepping stone on the road to Jerusalem.
And I have a feeling he probably, Baldwin, was not supposed to take this title and basically this town. I mean, you know, being crowned, that's one thing, but was he supposed to turn this over to the Byzantine or whatever and not take the title? That's why I chuckled.
But outside its walls, the First Crusade would come to the brink of disaster, decimated by disease and starvation, and encircled by their enemies. It would take a miracle to save them from annihilation. Research and artwork for this video.
What the shit? I wanted to keep going. Damn it. Alright, so we're going to end this here. I'm going to be really short because I want to get into this, the second part. So, have a good day. Have a good night.